Good evening. I'd like to just welcome all of you and just mention also that we will be live streaming this for our Ravenna community afterwards. I'd like to start off by saying what a difference a year makes. A year ago, we were gathered here for the real need of passing a levy. We passed it. Thank you. And it shows that every vote counts. So I say thank you. Thank you for our children, for your children. Thank you for the programs that continue to be a part of Ravenna. Thank you for that. And thank you for you, the people in this room and beyond this room. Thank you. Because it strikes me, we are one community, we are one school district. And I'd like to say thank you for being here for a couple of reasons tonight. We're here tonight to hear what we've had to do this past year. We're here also to hear what we are doing as a district. And we are also here tonight to hear what will begin to happen for Ravenna School District and our community. So we invite all of you here present and who are with us on live stream to join us in this process of this journey. Journey we're on for the betterment of our children. That's why we're here. For the betterment of our community. We're fortunate we have the mayor here, we have members of the city, the township. We are one community. So at this time, with great honor and respect, I present our treasurer, Kristen Plageman, who will present the first portion of the program.
All right, good evening. I am Kristen Plageman. I am the school treasurer for Ravenna School District. I actually began here in July 15th of 2024. So I am going to highlight many aspects of the financial operations of the district. On this first slide, you can always reach me. That is my email address. Or you can call me. I will meet with any community members, staff members, individually, or if you want to get a small group together, whatever would be convenient for you. So where can I find financial information about the district? All of our documents are presented in board meetings. We have finance committee meetings, and all those documents are available on the district website. So, for example, we have a federal programs review annual meeting that will be on May 11th at 5 o'clock right here. All of our audits are on the website. Our forecasts and assumptions are on the website. And then our monthly financial reports. So just this past Monday, I presented on March's financial reports, and those are now available for the community or staff members to view. Additionally, our finance committee meetings, which are also open to the public, the agendas and all the minutes are also available for the community if coming to a meeting isn't convenient, but you'd want to view some of our items. So let's take a look back. As Mr. Wisniewski mentioned, in 2024, things were pretty bleak. We were placed in fiscal caution in May of 2024 because we met two criteria. We had multiple years of deficit spending, meaning our expenditures were greater than our revenue, and we had multiple years of no cash on hand. So what was our forecast in May of 2024? Can I take this off, Jay? Well, let me see. I may just walk over here. Is that okay? So I'd like to show you this.
Test.
This is our deficit spending right here, all negative. But, like for you in a household, you may have, months or years where your expenditures are outweighing your revenue, but you have a bunch of in savings too. So you never had negative cash on hand. We also had negative cash on hand. So we were at positive ending the year in 2024.
They can't hear you online.
Positive ending the year in 2024 with $305,000. And then we were negative 2.5 million, negative 6.9 million, negative 12 million, and expected to be negative 19 million. So we had to do a plan of attack. Two things, increase your revenues, decrease your expenditures. So what did we do to increase our revenues? Thank you to the community, we were able to pass the 5-year emergency levy, which generates 2.75 million collection, and that is equated to 5.47 mils. Additionally, our other revenue source is the Ohio Department of Education, the governor's budget, which is our state foundation. There's many components within the state foundation funding that we as a district have control over. How are we EMIS coding our courses to get the maximum funding? Our threshold and excess costs, maximizing our reimbursements from the state for special ed students. We have our transportation costs, making sure that we're reporting every student accurately, all the miles that are being taken. So by doing that, we are able to generate additional funds for the district. Additionally, maximizing our usage of grant funds in order to preserve our general fund budget. How did we decrease our expenditures? Consolidating buildings, staffing reductions to align with our current enrollment. That was achieved by doing intense staffing comparability reports and analysis, enrollment changes, live births. So we took the live births and equated it to, well, how many of those students come to Ravenna schools in order for us to make enrollment projections far into like 2035. And then we did a complete analysis and reduction on all non-staffing expenditures. Every vendor that we used was analyzed for the usage of it, and then by going to competitive vendors to see if we can get the same product for less costs. So where are we at now? So now we are at deficit spending is not existing. We have a revenue surplus. So our revenue is exceeding our expenditures. Now you'll see right here in 29 and 30, you're going to see a little bit of deficit spending. As you get further out, you do see that, but as we keep having sound fiscal practices, we are pretty certain that we'll be able to take care of that. And then if you look down here at the bottom row, this is our ending cash balance on hand. People always ask these questions in every community. What happened to that casino money? That's what we received in FY26. $121,853. That's all we got. And that's very similar to every other district. And it's, you can look at that online. They have a whole report for every community. Reappraisal. We only had growth on inside millage. We don't grow on any of the other levies. We made $181,845 on the reappraisal that you all had in 2024. State funding, originally we reported we were going to lose about $591,000. We are at about $857,090 in a reduction in state funding, and that was due to the governor's formula change on funding for schools. So let's go back to reappraisal. Reappraisal, your values of your properties in Ravenna School District impact state funding. As reappraisal values go up, the state says, Ravenna School District has more wealth. They have more ability to provide for the funding of their schools, so we're going to give them less money. That's how that works. Example, Aurora, they only get 10% of funding from the state. 90% of their funding has to come from their community. Hudson, Field, they're all like that because they have so much industry and property values are so high. So that's how that whole reappraisal plays into the funding that we get from the governor's office. We've had many legislation that has passed. So, for example, House Bill 96, which is a piggyback option for the county auditors. It's limited to about 2.5%. And then we have these two inflation credit caps. One is House Bill 129 and the other one is House Bill 186. These put a cap on how much property can grow based upon the GDP deflator. And so we're kind of capped at around 8%. But again, as I told you before, we only receive growth on our inside millage. That's it, that 181,000. House Bill, House Bill 186 is all levies, and then the House Bill 335 is the inside millage. House Bill 186 is, or House Bill 129 takes all levies. So you'll hear, like maybe in the media, hey, we fell off the floor, we fell off the floor. We were not at the floor. So that did not impact any tax collections for Ravenna School District. And then down below is House Bill 309, which provides expanded authority for the Budget Commissioner in how much cash on hand can a district have, having more meetings to bring in the president of the board, the treasurer, the superintendent, to give more of an explanation on how the funds are being managed and the usage of it. And maybe for those communities that had like 50 or 60% overage, we are not near anything like that. All right, we have a lot of uncertainties. So with a governor's, we get a 2-year budget. So we don't know who the new governor is going to be, and we don't know what their budget plan is going to be for school districts. We have, like I said, House Bill 96 includes the piggyback tax exemption. We're not sure if that's ever going to be implemented in Portage County. There's a lot of pending new legislation out there. We don't know if that's going to pass to impact our tax collections. Last year, we did not receive our title funds until September, where we usually get them the May before. We're not sure yet on the federal government if we're going to receive those title funds. Any reductions or loss of title funds result in us having to use the general funds in order to provide those services for students in special education, to provide our professional development, and areas like that. And then we have the renewal of the PI levy, which is a 2.9 mil levy, collects about $953,000 a year. That is used for the operations and maintenance of our buildings. If that doesn't renew, then that $953,000 is going to have to come back out of the general fund. So we have a lot of uncertainties happening, not just in our community, but in all communities throughout the state. So that is the conclusion of my presentation. I have a much longer presentations that are online. You can view the whole 5-year forecast, the assumptions, and any of our other documents. And now I'm going to pass it on to Ben.
Give Mr. Newcomb a minute while he transitions the slides over. My name is Ben Ravenna. I'm the superintendent here at Ravenna Schools. This is my second year as the superintendent, and I've had many different roles throughout my career here at Ravenna as a teacher and coach, assistant principal, building principal, curriculum director, assistant superintendent, and now superintendent. So I've spent my whole career here, and I'm also not just an employee here, but I'm a proud parent here and a graduate from here. So this really is a special place for me, and I can tell you that I put my whole heart into this because I want what's best for my community and my kids. No matter what gets in the way, we're always out here to try and do right. So, all right. Thank you all for coming or logging in online. This is an important night so that we can tell you about our current facts and give you a brief outlook of the future here at Ravenna Schools. All right, so tonight I'm going to hit all these. I'm not going to read them because every one of these has a separate slide, but just a little overview of what we're going to talk about tonight. First one's our state report card. I know that there's a lot of discussion about our state report card. You can see that through the last 4 years are here on the right, and we're continuing to make some growth at each one of the buildings. However, we also know that there's a lot of work to do. So let's talk about the work that we're doing right now. We hired a new curriculum director this year, Mrs. Kendra Fashing, who was a former teacher here, and we have changed the role and duty at the school so that she's primarily focused on instruction, testing, and curriculum, which means that in the previous role, they had some HR things to do and some evaluations, and I've taken all that on so that she can focus strictly on curriculum. We've got a fairly new Science of Reading program called CKLA, which is our English and Language Arts curriculum. It is based on the Science of Reading. We're in our fourth year of CKLA. Time goes fast, huh? And we really have tried this year, and we are going to continue next year to make sure that we're teaching that series with fidelity. There's a lot of great pieces in that where there are skills lessons that we break out kids throughout the day, as well as interventions, and we've really tried to make sure that we're doing that with fidelity. We have a new math series this year called Illustrative Math. It's also Science of Math that we are breaking in this year and getting used to, and as that progresses, we feel like we're going to see a lot of growth with that. Finally, we have a district leadership team that meets with our state support team, and we have lots of different initiatives geared strictly towards English language arts, towards math, towards behavior, and towards attendance. So those 4 goals are all pushed out through the district leadership team to the buildings and then to the smaller groups of the teacher-based teams. Just want to point out some highlights from each of our schools. Ravenna Preschool earned another gold star, formerly the 5-star rating for excellence. We've maintained that gold star rating for the last several years, and we're really proud of what they do down there. We're seeing about almost 150 preschoolers a year rotate through that program, and it just helps us build on what we're leading towards as they get to the primary buildings. At Williard this year, which became a little different when we added kindergarten to it, we used something called the Dibbles benchmark assessments because they don't have state testing for K through 2. And we saw some really great improvements, and I think this is a testament to us teaching our CKLA with fidelity. Our kindergartners increased their percentage of on-track reading from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year by 23% this year. Our first grade is increased by 16% and our second grade by 12%. And we're expecting, we do another benchmark at the end of the year, we're expecting to see that grow even more. At West Main, we have a teacher that's been nominated nationally through Amplify, which is our reading program, CKLA, for a Science of Reading Award. Her name is Amy Brackenrich, and we're really proud of what she's done at West Main. And one of the things I wanted to point out, not only do we get a district report card, but we get school report cards, and West Main received a 5-star rating in progress, which means they've really grown a ton over the last year. At Brown, we really focused on behavior and culture this year. Behavior data reveals that our out-of-school suspensions have been reduced by 57% this year. And that's a testament to our PBIS, which is Positive Behavior Supports. There's been a collaborative effort with the students and staff out at Brown to provide rewards and listening to the students and the staff see what's going to be that big difference maker, and we're really proud of what they've done. We had success on the end of course test at the high school last year, and I wanted to point out a couple of those. So 700 is passing in Algebra 1 as well as American Government. We saw a lot of growth where they met the standard for both of those tests. You'll see the different colors. So red is limited, yellow is basic, and then proficient is orange, accelerated is purple, and advanced is blue. So anyone from orange, purple, and blue are the ones that passed those exams to get those ratings. We also had success in the American History test with a 718, and our biology has gone up drastically. I'm really proud of the accelerated and advanced scores in this, where we received a 715 at the high school. So thank you to the staff for doing all that. Some of the things that we've got going on that we're really proud of, we've got career tech classes such as robotics classes at our high school to provide quality STEM for our students. We have, in the last 3 years, put back career-based interventions, and to us as adults, that's the old OWE, OWA programs. It's now called CBI. Our program has gone from 8 to 17 to over 30 students right now, where they are able to come and get their education, and then they have a work program that they do in the afternoon. College Credit Plus, we offer not only dual credit here, but students can go on campus at Kent or some of the surrounding universities to earn college credits. We've got students that are leaving with 30 hours before they graduate here, where they enter as a sophomore already, or in some cases, we've got a student that's graduating this year near the top of our class. I believe the top of our class, it's probably going to be a junior when she enters school. So great opportunities for our kids. Our special ed department, our student services department, I think is excellent. We have a large number, in fact, double the percentage of special ed students that the state average is, and I think we do a great job of managing those IEPs and giving our students opportunities to grow. We've got a one-to-one Chromebook policy here in the district that we continue to use. Mr. Newcomb, our technology director, has done a great job of making sure that we update those. There's a plan every 4 years, 5 years that we are updating those and rotating those through. And I believe we offer a great number of athletic and extracurricular activities. Tonight, we unfortunately had to put the drama club out for an hour during their practice tonight, but they've got a great performance coming up this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as well as multiple athletic teams that are competing currently. So, as we work through things, we want to continue to maintain a quality education and continue to grow on that for our students and families. We want to offer a variety of programming, which I think we do, and we're continuing to look at different ways to do that. And we want to provide opportunities for families and students. We have events here like Title I Reading Nights, where we bring in a performing group to go through a book. We provide books during that evening for each kid to take home and read. Sorry. And we're going to continue to provide those opportunities, including things like our back-to-school bash at the beginning of the school year. So I'd like to talk about fiscal responsibility, and I know Ms. Plageman discussed this already, but I think it's really important because last year we were in a bad spot, and we set out our goals that we were going to work on 3 phases that we worked through the entire program, and that was to reduce or right-size our staff, to close underutilized buildings to reduce the footprint, and pass an operating levy, which we did for all 3 phases. I think it's important to note that we were told when we were going through the process that through a performance audit from the state auditor that we would be in a lot better situation to close some of our buildings. And our buildings right now are beginning to age, and they're beginning to be difficult to maintain. So when we closed West Park last year and sold that, we're closing West Main at the end of the year. Those were all part of the plan, separate from anything else. We had to do that to get back on track with those 3 phases. And we were fortunate enough to be the first district in Ohio to come out of fiscal oversight in 1 year. We just heard that there's going to be almost 50 new school districts going into fiscal oversight at the end of the year. So we're really happy that we're not there. What am I doing here? Okay. So we tried to be really proactive when we got that performance audit. We went to all 3 unions, and we pushed our contract out for this year for 1 year. All 3 unions graciously worked with us to take a 0% increase this year while we worked through our financial plans, and that really, really helped out a lot. We're pleased and thankful for their work on that. We talked about our consolidation plan. We've closed West Park. We're closing West Main at the end of the year, and we're also going to be closing our warehouse this summer and selling that so that we can work out of a different building. Separate from that, we sold Tappan recently to someone that has been leasing it to us for over 15 years, so that we no longer had to be landlords, and that has been very fruitful, as well as keeping the current tenant in there that's maintained our building really well over the last few years. We've worked on staffing reductions mostly through attrition, so as someone retires, we try not to fill a spot or get creative in moving around. We have done a RIF twice, though, and we continue to stay on top of our staffing based off of our enrollment. Kristen also talked about renegotiating contracts for support services. We passed the levy for the first time in 20 years. And all these were part of the recommendations from the state auditor through our performance audit to get to where we needed to be. Since we've both been here for 2 years now, or we're finishing out our second year. We decided that we were going to set up long-term plans for all of these. A fiscal or financial plan, which she already had to do, but also an operations plan with our new business manager, Mr. McDivitt, that focuses on not just buildings, but our buses, our technology plan, and we have made sure that we are planning further out so that we're prepared in the future. Mrs. Fashing's designed a new curriculum plan so that we're going to be reviewing curriculum every single year, depending on what subject that might be, so that we know, and that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to just go out and buy something. We review it, we see if it's working, and if it is, we keep it in place or supplement it, or if we have to, we'll replace it. We've got a staffing plan that we've been working on for a long time. And I've also tasked Mr. Lenardi and the building principals to work on an athletic and extracurricular plan to get our athletics back to where they need to be. So let's talk about those building closures, because a lot of people have been asking questions. So the end of last year, we closed West Park. I will tell you that when I was the principal there, almost 15 years ago, we were operating with 10 kindergarten classrooms. We're down to 5 right now. So when you think about that within the building, how much of those classrooms are we actually using? So we decided to close West Park at the end of the school year. We moved our kindergartners to Williard, so it's currently a K-2 school. And we sold West Park through an auction according to how we have to do that with Ohio Revised Code. Also, we will be closing West Main at the end of the year, which means a lot of changes. Our middle school is going to become, Brown is going to become 3 through 6. We've had 4 grade spans there for a long, long time, dating back to Roush when it was there, and in the current configuration, we've got grades 5 through 8. It's going to become a 3 through 6 building, and I will tell you, as a parent, I know that there are worries, and I understand that people are worried about 3rd through 4th grade moving up there. The plan is that we will be in the main building only, on the first 2 floors. 3rd and 4th grade is going to be on the first floor, and 5th and 6th grade will be on the second floor, as well as our music, art, and PE throughout the building. We're going to be using the old 5th grade wing or preschool wing, depending on how long you think about that, as some office space, some storage, and some supplemental teachers, such as our hearing impaired teacher that comes in to help, or some of our special ed teachers that may need an extra space for storage. It will look like an elementary building. We're planning on teaming with all 4 grades next year, 3 through 6. We're not going to have a bell schedule like the middle school currently does. So the teachers will be in pods, and they will be working together with a group of 2 or 3 teachers that teach the same kids and rotate throughout the building, across the hall or next to them, so that these kids will not be running throughout the building. They will be supervised the entire time. That also means that our high school is going to become 7 through 12 next year, and I also know that there's worries about that, and I can assure you that lots of school districts in the area are doing that. Mogador's been doing it for years. Wyndham, Springfield, Norton, and Cuyahoga Falls are going to it. Cuyahoga Falls went to it this year, and Norton is going to it next year. We have the space, we have the staffing to do it, and we want to utilize this building since we feel it's our best building currently in this district. So there will be a bell schedule, and middle school will be throughout the halls, but we believe we have a plan to keep them separated as much as we can throughout the day, and all of these buildings will be having orientations. We have in the first week of May field trips planned for our current 6th and 7th graders that are coming up here. We've already met with our 8th graders through a 8th grade transitions night, but we're going to have our 6th and 7th graders coming up here to tour the building with the administration as well as student ambassadors so that they feel comfortable, and then we'll have more things throughout the summer so that they can come in and get used to the layout and the lockers and all that. We're also going to be closing our warehouse, which just houses our maintenance currently, and our central registration. Central registration is going to be moved to the board office, so it's in one location as well as the business manager. And then maintenance is going to be working out of the old bus garage that we have at Brown Middle School next year so that we can get another property off of our hands that is getting hard to take care of. So we talked about the configurations, we talked about what it might look like next year, and that all leads us into, well, there's one more thing I want to talk about, sorry. There's been some questions online about busing. We did suspend it 2 years ago. In Ohio, the state minimum for school busing requires districts to transport grades K through 8 who live more than 2 miles from their school, but we don't have to technically transport high school students. But after the levy passed last year, we reinstated transportation for the entire year, and we are busing grades K through 12 all this year, and we will continue to do that. So if that question was on your mind, I wanted to make sure I addressed that. Should you have any questions about what we did tonight, my email is here on the screen. It's also on our district website, so feel free to contact me directly. We'll try and answer your questions the best we can. That's where we currently are. The next portion of this is to talk about where we might be going in the near future. So I'm going to invite Jeremy McDivitt, our business manager, up to start the next piece. We're going to kind of tag team this. So Mrs. Plageman, and we also have a team here from Fanning and Howie, who are pre-funded architecture firm and design firm that has been helping us through our potential build. So let me turn it over to Jeremy for a few minutes, and then we'll kind of jump in from there, okay?
This isn't a good start. Okay, there we go. Okay, thanks, Mr. Rybelin. Like he said, my name's Jeremy McDevitt. I am the Director of Business and Operations here in Ravenna. This is actually my first year in the district. I'm in my, I hate to say this out loud, but I'm in my 30th year in education. I've taught woodshop, 2nd grade and 7th grade. I spent 7 years as a classroom teacher. And then I went to Kenston Schools up in Geauga County, where I spent 22 years. I spent time as an assistant principal in the middle school and assistant principal in the high school. I was high school principal for 8 years, and then I ended up as assistant superintendent overseeing business operations in that district. And so looking for a change, I've come down to Ravenna, and like I said, I'm finishing up my first year. And fortunately, I get to look at some pretty exciting stuff for this district and this community. And I'm going to touch on that tonight. We've been talking pretty heavily for the last 3 or 4 months at our board meetings and obviously in our day-to-day work about a potential building project. This actually kicked off back in November of 2024, before I was even in the district, but the district found out that they may potentially have a chance to work with OFCC, the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, on doing some building projects. What the OFCC does is they'll come into a district like Ravenna and they look at your enrollment studies, and they also do a building assessment of all your properties. And what the OFCC found is what we all know, that the enrollment has been on a pretty steady decline, and that many of the facilities, many of the buildings in this district are aging. And working with them, that process alone probably happened over about a year's time. And I'm going to jump back now to January of this current year, 2026. OFCC actually presented the district with 2 building plans. And those 2 plans were based on OFCC formulas where they look at our enrollment. They have a formula for how much square footage each elementary child should have, how much square footage a middle school child should have. So they come up with a total square footage, and then they present us some options as a district. And so we received 2 plans from the state. We were interested in finding out some more, and so we actually requested 3 more plans. So by the end of January, we were sitting on 5 potential building plans. Go back to February of this year, we started to look at potentially working with an architectural firm, a school construction group that's familiar with OFCC projects and could help us sort through the plans and decide what would be best here for Ravenna and this community. And so in late February, we hired Fanning and Howie to work with us on sorting through the plans and coming up with one plan, essentially, that we could say this is the best for our community and for Ravenna schools. We had to make that decision, the board had to make that decision by April 7th, or actually it's April 15th. We had a meeting on April 7th where the different plans were presented to the board. The state, the OFCC, doesn't necessarily dictate where you build, how much property you have. Like I said, they're looking at square footage, the number of students, and then they're offering districts an opportunity to partner with them to build, whether it's elementary, high school, whatever. In our case, it's an elementary school. So as we work through the process with Fanning and Howie, we basically looked at pros and cons of each plan, and the biggest factor for us right off the bat was that we didn't want to add any additional local funds to the project, because anything above their plan has to be funded 100% locally. We didn't want that, and we also wanted to maximize our square footage. We had an idea of what we needed based on our enrollment, and so quickly that got us down to 2 plans, and out of the 2 plans, working with Fanning and Howie, the board selected one which maximized our square footage, didn't require additional property, and also didn't require any additional local funds. So that decision was made. That doesn't lock us into anything. That's just us saying to the OFCC, yeah, we want to move forward and continue to look at this project and potentially do something for this community. Our buildings are aging. Our mechanical systems are failing. The building envelope, the roofs, the windows, they're very expensive costs to repair those, and they're just older buildings. So we're going to continue to look at this process. The 76-24 funding split, I personally have never seen it like this. When this building was built, I believe Mr. Rivlin said it was 53% state funded. The state right now is telling Ravenna they will fund 76% of a new build. So when they come up with a total cost of the build, and the OFCC has that number, the local district's only covering 24%. So just over 3/4 of the cost of a new building could be funded by the state. So that's why we're continuing to look at this. We're going to continue to work with Fanning and Howie. They build schools for a living. They work with the OFCC. They want what's best for Ravenna. And they're helping guide us through some of the rules and regulations of the OFCC. But at the same time, they've been great help to us. So we're going to continue to move this forward, and more details will come out as we go. And actually right now, Fanning Howie's well represented down here, and so I'm going to invite up Jen Fuller from Fanning just to talk to you a little bit about some of the work we've already done, and what this looks like a little bit going forward. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Surprise. He came up and did it for me. Hi, I'm Jen Fuller, so with Fanning Howie, and we are also working with Oslowski Jaminet, and Jonathan here is with that firm. Both our firms have done educational facilities for Fanning Howie for 65 years. I feel like equally long with Oslowski Jaminet, over 20, with, again, educational facilities. So we've got a lot of partnerships together, and also we've done a lot of work, as you already heard, with the OFCC. So while you have a fantastic team, they run a school, right? They're focused on education. There's a lot that goes into that, as you've heard, from finance to buildings. Not that they couldn't come up with the own pros and cons list, but honestly bringing someone in who does schools every day that really understands the state funding model and what that looks like just was another layer of your team really looking to experts and making sure that they understand the path forward for the district and what's going to work best. So that's where we came into play. But honestly, this is something that we just love to do as educational designers. We are here, and we'll call it phase one of hopefully 2 phases for us, but we have not designed anything. It may look like we have, and Jonathan's going to talk to you about that a little bit, but what we're doing in this phase is we're confirming that OFCC and their square footage and their student counts are in line with what your district also believes to be true. And so all of those together, we did have to analyze your sites, traffic flows, and patterns to make sure that we weren't making a decision that was ultimately going to not serve you the best. So this is where we landed, and it has a lot of thought into it. It's to scale. We know what's going to fit on your properties. But also, this is where we want to make sure, as we move forward to November, that everybody here understands what this might look like for you. You can get your questions to ask. So we'll be here through this first phase as well to talk to the community. There's some nights that are already planned, so you can get those questions asked. But again, we're just here really to support you, give you some ideas how this could move forward as part of the phase one. When it does become a building project, there will be lots of involvement from staff and teachers and students and community. So while we're still asking questions now, we are given, I don't want to say a box, from the state, but we really have to fit certain requirements in that. So that's just what's happening today, and know that as it moves forward, there will be a lot more engagement. It's just not a quick process overnight to build something like you're sitting in today. So we're getting that started with your team, and I'm going to have Jonathan talk about what you see on the presentation. And know, again, this is just all that information we've been given to date, and this is going to morph and really get more exciting as this process continues.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Jonathan Imler. I'll just do a quick walk through this conceptual site plan, and again, it is conceptual. What you're looking at is the building that we are currently in. So the white roof is the existing high school. Just to the west and to the left of the high school is a approximately 97,000 square foot single-story elementary school, which is attached. The elementary school is actually going to be impeding on the west parking lot as it sits now. So as the elementary school goes to the west, a new parking lot would need to be placed, which would be the secondary practice field just to the left of that. That secondary practice field would be relocated to the south. You'll see down low between the ball fields in the green rectangle. Again, some of our concerns is how do we maintain, first of all, we wanted to make the least amount of impact on the site without having to destroy anything or replace. So we've avoided many of your athletic facilities, really just taking place of the parking lot, and then also wanting to maintain traffic flow around the site, because realistically, as the elementary school is constructed, you have to use your high school. So the high school bus drop-off remains as is, and the elementary school has its own unique entry point and its own bus drop-off. So we would be isolating the two functions between the high school students and elementary school students. And then also, you'll see the red arrow on the top of the orange building, and that's potential for a separate parent drop-off. So again, we want to separate parent traffic from bus traffic between high school and the elementary schools. And I think that is a pretty good overview of what we've done so far.
I think Kristen's coming back up to close us out.
Yeah, so we just wanted to make the point that concern between elementary school students and high school students, these buildings are attached, but the elementary school really will operate as a school within a school. So for obvious reasons, staff would be able to go between the two buildings, but the student bodies would be isolated and operate independently of one another.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, now's the big question. Oh, sorry. How are we going to pay our 24%? So when we did the high school, you had a bond levy. We don't want to do that. So we're responsible, and I'm giving some very specific figures because we received very specific figures on what this building will cost in total. And OFCC gave us those figures and based upon an enrollment projection, square footage, and the regional cost factor. So these are very specific numbers. They're specific numbers based upon 2026. As we go and move forward in the project, we'll get the locked in 2027 values in July. So 76% of this project, we would receive a little over $34 million from OFCC from the state. Ravenna School District portion would be 24%, which is a little over $11 million. Well, where are we going to get the $11 million? The buildings that we sold. When you sell school buildings, you're not allowed to use that money for the operation of a district. You can't use it for staffing salaries. You can't use it for supplies or equipment for the students. It has to go into either the maintenance of your building or to use it to go towards the cost of a new building. So that $11 million, our goal is to bring that down about another $3 million so that we're at $8 million. Where are we going to get that $8 million? Remember we talked about that PI? So we have a PI fund that collects $953,000. We have to reserve a half of a mil, which is $250,000. The other $700,000 would make the payments. It's called a COPS program, which we will go into more detail when we reconvene in June. That'll make the loan payments. So we're, again, asking for no new tax dollars from the community in order to support this project. So we either are going to use the 900, the PI funds has a usage that either can be for the maintenance of our current buildings, or it can be used towards the loan payments of a new building. So we're going to need that $953,000 either to maintain our buildings or to use that $953,000 in order to have a brand-new facility for the community. And now I'm going to turn it over, in conclusion, to Mr. Reiblin. I clicked it for you.
Okay, so what are our next steps? We will be hearing from the OFCC. They have a meeting in July to approve all OFCC projects for the following year, and those will be based on 2027 construction costs, and we've already factored that in as we work. From there, we'll be working on a building plan and design, as well as our funding plan that we work with Squire, Patton, and Boggs to make sure that our renewal is listed correctly and we're able to move forward with that. So as they've all mentioned, we're in the beginning stages. We obviously have to explore all options. This is totally separate from our original fiscal plan of closing buildings and passing the original levy, but we feel like we can build a brand new building at no new cost to our voters, and that we think that's really important, that our kids get what they deserve. So, moving forward, we are going to have a meeting on June 4th here in the auditorium to answer more questions as we will find out more along the way from OFCC. I have included a QR. If you want to scan that, it will link you to a Google form that you can answer or ask any questions, and that will be able to drive us at our meeting on June 4th to try and answer the community questions as they come about. Tonight's meeting has been recorded as well as live streamed, so you'll be able to go back on YouTube to find this if you are looking for more information or contact information. If something pops up and you didn't get to scan this, it will also be on that recorded piece. So that's all we have for this evening. We are really looking forward to moving forward and trying to do things right for Ravenna, for not just the school, but for the community. And as I mentioned, we'll have a meeting on June 4th here to answer those questions, and we're going to try and work through each month and give you more information as it comes about. So thank you for coming out. We appreciate you and supporting Ravenna Schools. Thanks.